Hello, my dear children. Welcome back again to our English class for the lesson Deep Water by William Douglas. Take your textbook and see this paragraph. It seemed a long way down. Those 9 feet were more than like 90. And before I touched bottom, my lungs were ready to burst. But when my feet hit bottom, I summoned all my strength and made what I thought was a great spring upward. I imagined I would bob to the surface like a cork. Instead, I came up slowly. I opened my eyes and saw nothing but water. Water that had a dirty yellow tint to it. I grew panicky. I reached up as if to grab a rope, and my hands clenched only at water. I was suffocating. I tried to yell, but no sound came out. Then my eyes and my nose came out of water, but not my mouth. So in this paragraph, what we can see here is this: after this misadventure occurred, when he was thrown into the pool, he thought of a strategy that he could save himself. What was that? It was said in the last class itself. What is that? I was frightened. Last paragraph, last lines, isn't it? I was frightened, but not yet out of my wits. So what he says here is, when he was thrown, when he understood that he was thrown into the pool, anyhow, not because of its wits. Wits here means intelligence, that he knew that he was frightened, but on the way down, I planned. What was the strategy? To when my feet hit the bottom, I would make a big jump, come to the surface, lie flat on it, and paddle to the edge of the pool. This is the strategy that he made, isn't it? And here, as he was just thinking about this thing, what happened? Our coming paragraph here, it says, it seemed a long way down. And what was the depth of the one side or of the deep-sided pool? It's 9 feet, isn't it? And it says that those 9 feet were more like 90 feet. And the shallow end is only 3 or 4 feet depth. And the depth of the other side is 9 feet. But here, as he was thrown to the depth of the pool, the other side of the pool, where the water is 9 feet, he felt like it was 90 feet, because it seems to be like a great journey to reach the bottom of the pool. And I touched the bottom, my lungs were ready to burst. So what happened? And before I touched the bottom, my lungs were ready to burst. So it says that actually he doesn't know whether the strategy will work or not. And he was just telling that before I reached the bottom, I understood that definitely my lungs were ready to burst. It's because of fear. Actually, he doesn't know how to swim also, isn't it? But my feet hit the bottom. I summoned all my strength and made what I thought was a great spring upward. So anyhow, there is one conscious way that he was just thinking, and he doesn't want to lose that conscious mind. So he was just thinking about, when I reach the bottom, I should just make a fierce touch on the bottom, so that I can just do what? I can come up like a cork. So he summoned. Summon means what? Summon means I gathered all my strength and made what I thought was a great spring upward. So as he wished, as per his strategy, he was so conscious to say that he reached the bottom of the pool. So once he reached, he made a fierce touch. And actually he thought that it will be just like a great spring that he expected. But what happened? Nothing happened likewise. He thought that he would pop up like a cork. He would bob up like a cork. Both pop and bob are same meaning. Okay, anyhow, I would bob to the surface like a cork. You know what is a cork? As last class I told you that it's a covering which you can see in wine bottles and all. That's cork, isn't it? So he thought that when this cork was opened, definitely it will just have a spring upward, isn't it? So likewise, he thought that when I just make a fierce touch on the bottom of the pool, I would come up like a cork. So when I come up like a cork, I can lie flat, then paddle to the edge of the pool. This was his strategy. But instead, what he says, instead, I came up slowly. Nothing worked like what he thought. Okay? It seems to be like the touch was not so fierce. It was a very feeble touch that he made. Already he lost all his courage. Only some consciousness is there that he wanted to apply this strategy. And already we have seen that he said that before I touched the bottom, my lungs were ready to burst. He is a very small boy, about 10 or 11 years of age. So there is some limitations in which he can gather courage. And moreover, he doesn't know how to swim also. He is here for learning how to swim. So on this very instant, you know that when that Roizer boy just tossed him into the pool, within his limitation, he was just trying to grab, or within his limitation, he was just trying to gather some courage, and he thought that let me have a fierce touch. But nothing happened like what. He was so feeble. It was it was a very weak touch that he made. So what happened? Instead of coming up like a cork, he came up slowly. Anyhow, he came to the on the surface of the water. Once he came to the surface of the water, here it says that I opened my eyes and saw nothing but water. It says that anyhow, as a small boy, he doesn't want to lose. So he came up, even though it's not like what he expected, but still then he came up very slowly but reached the surface of the water. Once he reached the surface of the water, he opened his eyes to look everyone to ask for what? To ask for help. I opened my eyes and saw nothing. Why? Because you know that definitely you will just get out of control when you are deeply immersed in fear. So here also same thing happened. And what he saw? I saw nothing but water. And what was the color of the water? Water that had a dirty yellow tint to it. What is tint? Tint means the touch of color. Maybe because of fear, he couldn't able to see everything very clearly. It may be like dark. We didn't experience that one, isn't it? So we can't say what the tint color is all about. But just remember that this tint color happens when you are extremely fearful. You cannot able to identify anything other than only a weak color of the water. Okay, and that too may be dirty yellow tint to it, maybe because of the reflection of the sunlight. Everything went blank and he was totally out of control. I grew panicky. What is that panicky? Panicky means I grew very scared. Okay, minute after minute, second after second, as the time is just going on, he is just putting himself into greater fear. I reached as if to grab a rope, and my hands clenched only at water. Now the next thing, when he came up to the surface of water, as he was just trying to open his eyes, he could see nothing only but a dirty yellow color of water. Isn't it? And within this limitation, and he was now put up his hands for searching for something. He was just trying to grab a rope, something like that. If he gets hold of something like that, he could just hang on, and somehow he thinks that I can come up to the edge of the pool and save myself. And he clenched, I reached up as if to grab a rope, and my hands clenched only at water. As he was just trying to get hold on a rope, only what was there? He could clench means he could only he could only catch water in his hands. Clenched here means touch or get hold on water. Okay, and only at water. I was suffocating. What is suffocating? Suffocating is improper breathing, lack of proper breathing. You can just imagine a small boy who was thrown. He was just struggling for his life, isn't it? And that, what is that? That boy who seems to be very notorious. Maybe he was standing there and watching all these things, isn't it? So anyhow, he was just trying to grab for something else to get hold on. Nothing was there. Now he was so suffocating. He feels like it was unable for him to breathe. Quite comfortable in water. I tried to yell. What is yell? Yell here means scream. I tried to scream for help, and the nose came out of water, but not my mouth. So there is also some problem. What is that? Only his eyes and nose came out of water, not his mouth. So definitely if he screams also, no one is going to hear, isn't it? The sound will just go under water only. It's not going to come out. So that is also one of his problems. So anyhow, you can just imagine how this little boy was just suffering in this, what is that, YMCA pool, isn't it? That fellow just thrown him, and now who is struggling here? This little Douglas is struggling here for saving himself, isn't it? Anyhow, he thought that let me have a fierce touch or a strong touch on the bottom of the pool, and I can come up like a cork. But beyond his expectation, nothing happened likewise. Nothing happened as per what he thought. He came very slowly, and that too only the eyes and nose came upon water, and in between he tried to get hold on a rope or anything such like that, so that he can clutch and come to the edge of the pool. There also nothing happened, isn't it? Then he thought the next thing is that I can scream. I need to scream, and for that his mouth was under water, isn't it? So that is the condition. And in between he feels like he was growing panic and fearsome, and also he seems to be like, definitely my lungs will burst now, isn't it? So this was the condition of the little boy. Okay, then coming to the next paragraph. Okay, I flayed at the surface of water, swallowed and choked. I tried to bring my legs up, but they hung as dead weights, paralyzed and rigid. A great force was pulling me under. I screamed, but only the water heard me. I had started on a long journey back to the bottom of the pool. So what happened? So here we see that I flayed. What is flayed here means? When I came to the surface of water, when my eyes and nose were above the water, what he did? I flayed at the surface of water. I waved my hand to the surface of water. For what? For seeking help. You might have heard, you might have seen, when someone drowns, what they will do? They will just put out their hands for help. They just wave their hands for help. Here also same thing happened. This boy just flayed out the surface of water. He was just showing or waving his hands for help. Along with that, what he did? And swallowed and choked. What is that? He swallowed what is that? A lot of water. He started drinking a lot of water and choked. What is choked? And he feels very hard to breathe, isn't it? And that is the condition. And now he says that I tried to bring my legs up, but they hung as dead weights, paralyzed and rigid. So once he came to the surface of water, he tried his level best to get hold on a rope or something like that. Nothing was there. Then he thought that let me make a scream. For that also his mouth was under water. Then he thought of, what is that? Waving with his hands for help. And in between he tried to gather courage to put his leg up. But what was the condition of the leg? His legs were seemed like paralyzed and rigid. That means it is unable for him to control the function of his legs. That's because of what? That's because of fear. That's because that he felt that, yes, I'm going to drown now. Definitely, if you can't breathe properly, I will die now. So, with that fear of mind, he felt like his legs, he says that I tried to bring my legs up, but they hung as dead weights. That means uncontrollably his legs were not functioning as per his orders. Or as per his logic, his legs cannot gather the courage. So it seems to be like what? Hung as dead weights. Unable to move his legs. Paralyzed. You know what is paralyzed, isn't it? And now, and rigid. Rigid means stiff, isn't it? Cannot make any movement. It was just lying as it is. And now, then he felt like when his legs were unable to move, when his legs were unable to, paddle in order to get to the surface or the edge of the pool, he thought that a great force was pulling me under. Isn't it? So now he was sure that yes, I am not going to float on the surface of water as I thought. Something is pulling me down. Isn't it? So he says that, but only it says that a great force was pulling me under. So he started going down once again. He doesn't know how to balance, how to control, how to paddle with his hands or legs in water. So definitely he felt like, yes, I am going again. Back to where? Back to the end of the pool. Okay. Then he says that I screamed. There I started crying for help. In between I swallowed much water. In between I felt like I am choked. I can't breathe. I can't breathe properly. And now it seems to be like he was being pulled downwards once again. I screamed, but only what hurt me? Only the water hurt me. I had started on a long journey back to the bottom of the pool. So, for the second time, he started his journey, long journey. Why it says to be said to be long journey? Because already he said that the 9 feet seems to 90 feet. So, for the second time also he will be going in such a situation, isn't it? At first he was thrown, so definitely he may be at a greater pace. But this time, the speed of his journey towards the bottom of the pool may not be like the same speed that he went there for the first time. It will be very slower than the first journey. So that's why it says that I started on the journey back where? Back to the bottom of the pool. So this is what he just says about the series of emotion and fear that he experienced when he was thrown into the pool of YMCA. He can't even control his legs, and it seems to be like they were heavy and lifeless. That means he cannot control, and the legs were seems to be very rigid, stiff, lifeless, heavy. That's why it seems to be like I was pulled once again back to the bottom of the pool, and he was just screaming for help, but no one heard him because he was under the water. Now once again William started going downwards to the bottom of the pool. So this is what I would like to deal with in this class, the 2 paragraphs. Okay, you have to go through these 2 paragraphs. Let's have a quick look on what was this 2 paragraphs just talking about. In these 2 paragraphs, you can see that he was just talking about a strategy to save himself. What is that? To touch the bottom with great strength, and he feels like definitely he will pop up like a cork, then lie flat, then he can paddle to the edge of the pool and save himself. And definitely in the whole text we see that he tried this for about 3 times. Now we have already seen that for the second time he went back to the bottom of the pool. Okay, altogether he tried it likewise 3 times, and the strategy seems a great failure for him because he never expected that he would come up very slowly. In fact, he thought that he will come up like a cork, but in reality he came very slowly, and he just trying to grab for a rope to get hold on, but he could clutched only at the water, and on the way to this bottom of the pool, it seems to be like the 9 feet seemed to be like 90 feet. And before touching the bottom of the pool, he said that his lungs were ready to burst. Somehow, he gathered all his strength to spring upward, but came very slowly. When he came very slowly on the surface of the water, when he opened his eyes, he saw nothing but what? Yellow color water, isn't it? And what we see here is he tried to cry, but no sound came. Why? Because his mouth was under water, and in between he swallowed much water and was choking. Then we see that he flayed, or he just put up his hands and waved for help, asking for help. Then it says somehow I could manage somewhat like this, but he cannot give any commands to his legs, because its legs seems to be paralyzed and rigid. It seems to be like lifeless, and it's very hard for him to carry. It's the weight of the leg just pulled him once again back to the end of the pool, and he started his second journey to the end of the pool. This is what we have seen in these two paragraphs. Students, take your textbook. Just concentrate on your book. Okay. So, paragraph 10. I struck at the water as I went down, expending my strength as one in a nightmare fights an irresistible force. I had lost all my breath. My lungs ached. My head throbbed. I was getting dizzy. But I remembered the strategy. I would spring from the bottom of the pool and come like a cork to the surface. I would lie flat in water, strike out with my arms, and thrash with my legs. Then I would get to the edge of the pool and be safe. So what we see here in this paragraph, again he was again moving back, he made his second journey back to the pool. Even though he was so tired, even though he was fear-stricken, his lungs and his brain began to lose control. But still then somewhere in his wits, he was trying to put with the strategy that he had already planned. So here it says that I struck at the water as I went down. Okay. And expending my strength as one in nightmare fights an irresistible force. He can't even imagine whether it is real or what is that? He was in another world. It seems to be like a nightmare, isn't it? You know what is nightmare? What we call something that always frightens one's mind, isn't it? That will put a great stain into their mind. It's very hard to wipe it out. So likewise, he thinks that maybe I am going to somehow, it seems to be like a nightmare, and fights an irresistible force. Says that he can't able to control the force that is pulling him down to the end of the pool. And it says that I had lost all my breath. Already we have seen that he was suffocating because he doesn't know the art of breathing in water, isn't it? And my lungs ached and my head throbbed. I was getting dizzy. That's what it says, that he becomes so weaker and weaker. His lungs is about to burst or ache. Ache means what? Pain, isn't it? When you are just suffocating, when you are out of breath, you definitely feel a pain in your lungs, isn't it? And also my head throbbed. I was getting dizzy. Dizzy means what? Dizzy means faint or unsteady situation. Okay, so anyhow it says that I don't know whether I am getting faint or I am in unconscious situation. So again, in between this, he made his second journey back to the pool. Okay. On the way, he was getting unconscious, but somehow he tried to recollect the plan to save himself. And what was the plan? The plan was very clearly said here again. What is it? But I remember the strategy. What was the strategy? I would spring from the bottom of the pool and come like a cork to the surface. I would lie flat on the water, strike out with my arms and thrash with my legs. So this is what his idea is all about. This is what he was just planning as he just go and touch the bottom of the pool for the second time. Then I would get to the edge of the pool and be safe. Anyhow, just think about a boy who is in between 10 and 11 years of age, even after he was struggling for his life, but still then he never loses his confidence of getting out of this dangerous situation, even in this greatest struggle in life, but still then he made a plan to overcome this situation. He wanted to come up somehow and reach to the side of the pool to save himself. So as he was just going for the second time back to the pool, he remembers the strategy and he wanted to put it into practice. Then he remembers, then he thinks that, okay, if I just get to the edge of the pool, I'll be safe, isn't it? So as he was just moving, here it says that then he says that as he was just moving, I went down. Next paragraph. I went down endlessly. This is the second time that he was moving. Okay, and this time it may not be like the first time. It's very slowly. He was just going. Says that I went down endlessly. I opened my eyes. Nothing but water with a yellow glow. Dark water that was that one could not see through. And then sheer stark terror seized me, terror that knows no understanding, terror that knows no control, terror that no one can understand who has not experienced it. I was shrieking underwater. I was paralyzed underwater, stiff, rigid with fear. Even the screams in my throat were frozen. Only my heart and the pounding in my head said that I was still alive. Can you imagine yourself in this situation? Isn't it? If he doesn't know how to swim, if he happen to be in such situation, definitely, I don't know how you will react. But still, for a person like me, definitely I will die on that very instant. But here, this child, very pathetic situation. He might have remembered about his parents, isn't it? About his mother. And actually why he came to this YMCA pool, because he knows that Yakima river is so treacherous and there is high chance of losing his life because of drowning. And he thought that definitely this YMCA pool is much safer, isn't it? But what happened here? Some, what is that, naughty attitude of a boy just put him in the situation and he's struggling for life. And now here it says that I went down endlessly. It seems to be a great journey back to the end of the pool. In between, I opened my eyes. Then what he saw? Says that I saw nothing but only what? The water with yellow glow. What is that yellow glow? What as last class I told you that it may be because of fear and maybe because of the terror that seized him. He might have seen or the color of the water with yellow tint. Okay, and he says that nothing other than this and fear he can experience, and water that one could not see through. Actually, this happens when you are afraid, extremely you are out of control, when your head is getting dizzy, when you are just losing your control of controlling yourself. Definitely you will just come across this situation. When you are just getting fainted, you will happen to see things like this. So that's why this boy also experienced such a thing. Nothing but water with a yellow glow, dark water that one could not see through. It says that I can't see one end to the other. And then sheer stark terror seized me. What it says that stark means what? Severe terror, fear started seizing me. What is that? Seize means gripped me. And here it says that I started understanding that this fear is now overpowering me. And the terror that knows no control, terror that no one can understand who has not experienced it. So, we can just read it and explain. But personally, we haven't experienced such things in life. You will better know about my fear if you have been in my place. Or if you have experienced similar situation in your life, definitely you can understand the depth of my fear that I was just going through that time. So that's where it says that terror that knows no control. Terror that no one can understand who has not experienced it. We can sympathize, we can pity, but you cannot understand the depth of fear or the amount of fear the boy was just going through. I was shrieking and underwater. What is shrieking? Shrieking means I was screaming with fear, screaming for help, crying for help. And here again he seems to be like I was paralyzed under water. What is paralyzed? He started screaming and he finds that he was unable to move due to fear, because his hands, his legs, his mouth and his lungs were about to burst, isn't it? And only somewhere in the throbbing of his heart he came to know that I am alive. And even the screams also get frozen. Here it says that even the screams in my throat were frozen. He cried a lot. Finally, he doesn't have the strength even to make a cry also. And now everything went, went to a stop. And only my heart and the pounding in my head said that I was still alive. So here it says that I understand that I am not dead, because I could feel what? I could feel the pounding of my heart. Only my heart and the pounding of my head said that I was still alive. The repeated beating of my heart only made me know that I am still alive. And some weights or some understanding about my present situation made me know that I am still alive, I am not dead. And so what happened? Here, even though only his heart beat and the beating in his head indicated that he was alive, he doesn't want to give up. He was not ready to give up. So what we see in this paragraph is, he opened his eyes as he was just going for the second time to the end of the pool. He saw nothing only but what? The yellowish color of water. And he started realizing the fear that empowered him. Now he feels like he is unable to move due to fear. Even the screamings get frozen, and only the heartbeat as well as beating in the head indicated that he was alive. Then the next paragraph says that, and then in the midst of the terror came a touch of reason. I must remember to jump when I hit the bottom. At last I felt the tiles under me. My toes reached out as if to grab them. I jumped with everything I had. See this little child. What we see here is, in the face of this terror that he was just going, he recollected the plan that he had to take a jump as he touched the bottom of the pool. And once he felt the bottom of the pool under his toes, what happened? He used all his strength that he had and he jumped up. Okay? So, what happened? As he went second time to the end of the pool, he thought of just putting the strategy into practice, and somehow he touched, or he just made a fierce touch with his toes to the bottom of the pool in the tiles, and he jumped up with all the strength he had. He jumped up. Then what happened? But the jump made no difference. The water was still around me. I looked for ropes, ladders, water wings. Nothing but water. A mass of yellow water held me. Stark terror took an even deeper hold on me, like a great charge of electricity. I shook and trembled with fright. My arms wouldn't move, my legs wouldn't move. I tried to call for help, to call for mother. Nothing happened. So what happened? Now he is just coming up for the second time. Okay? Second time he went down. Now second time he is coming to the surface of water. Anyhow, he made a jump. Slowly and steadily he started floating up to the surface of water. Okay? When he came up to the surface of water, I looked for rocks. The first line says that, but the gem made no difference. No difference with the gem that I have made in the first time. The second time also, when I made a gem from the tile, it was similar to that of the first gem. Anyhow, water was still around me. When he was just coming up very slowly, he started searching for what? Searching for help, to see whether there is a rope or ladder or water wings or anything that he can use it. But he could see only what? Could see only water. Okay. Then it says an yellow mass of water held me against stark terror, took an even deeper hold on me like a great charge of electricity. He is comparing the terror that he was now just feeling with the charge of electricity. You know how powerful it is, isn't it? Once we are just charged with electricity, it will not just go from us very easily unless someone will come and help us, isn't it? So here also, as if something is pulling me down, even though I just trying to come up, what happened? I was just searching for help, for a rope or ladder, a water wing, with the help of which he could rescue himself. Only he could see water around, and he is just comparing the stark terror that overpowered him like what? Like the charge of electricity, and says that again it pulled him down. So definitely what happened when it was just pulling him down? What happened? Here we see that he started for a third journey to the end of the pool. And here it says that on the way here it says that my arms wouldn't move, my legs wouldn't move. I tried to call for help, to call for mother. See, you know that is the last option that we all have in our life. When we are putting ourselves into greater dangers like this, apart from any danger, that can be drowning, that can be any other things, even tension, even worries, even you are at the verge of losing everything, the last word that comes in your mouth is your mother's name, because that is the strength of one child. You know that here, this child, when he understood that, yes, I can't able to put myself, or I can't gather myself, now he calls for help, final help for his mother. He wanted to call and says that my legs couldn't move. I tried to call for help, to call my mother for help. You know that in this line, this William Douglas was trying to say that the last option that everyone have in their life is the word mother. Okay, and here he tried to call for his mother, because she may be the only one until her life ends. She will devote all her life for her children, or for her child. He might have known that, isn't it? So he tried to call for help, to call mother for help, but nothing happened. He started a third journey to the back of the pole. Okay, so all his efforts went in vain, isn't it? And now he is trembling with fear. He neither could move his limbs or call out for help. Okay, and then next paragraph says that, and then strangely there was light. I was coming out of the awful yellow water. Okay, then at least my eyes were and my nose were about to. So anyhow, as he was just coming, or he was just on the second way up to the surface of water, he tried to call for help. Nothing happened, but still then he saw some light, or he understood that yes, somehow I reached the surface of water, but at least my eyes were, my nose were almost out. Then I started. After coming to the top, then he started the third journey back to the pole. Then I started down a third time. Can you think about all these things? That to a boy of age in between 10 and 11. Just think about the boys who are standing on the side of the pool. They may be enjoying this situation, isn't it? I don't know what to say about those children who are just playing sick game with this little boy. Isn't it? They may be sadist, maybe enjoying this critical situation of the child standing on the side of the pool. Isn't it? So it says that then I started. This is a real experience said by William Douglas. Then I started down a third time. I sucked for air and got water. The yellowish light was going out. Then all efforts ceased. I relaxed. Even my legs felt limp, and a blackness swept over my brain. It wiped off fear. It wiped off terror. There was no more panic. It was quiet and peaceful. Nothing to be afraid of. This is nice, to be drowsy, to go to sleep. No need to jam. Too tired to jam. It's nice to be carried gently, to float along in space. Tender arms round me, tender arms like mothers. Now I must go to sleep. So here it says that as he was just moving his third journey down to the pool, he started sucking water instead of air. Actually, he wanted to just take or suck air for his breath, but nothing. As he was trying to get air, he got water. And as he was moving down to the end of the pool, the yellowish light that he witnessed when he was at the surface of the water started diminishing, isn't it? And finally, he lost his consciousness and he felt that he was almost dead. And with this, what happened? He then all effort ceased. Then he thinks that, why should I try again? I am tired of doing this. I am tired of practicing the strategy that I planned. It's not working out. So definitely I am going to die. Let me die. So he stopped. Then all efforts ceased means he stopped all efforts. And he gave himself in the hands of death. So when he understood that I am about to die, when he surrendered himself to death, he says that I relaxed. Okay? When all efforts were ceased, when he gave up saving himself, he felt so relaxed. And it says that even my legs felt limp. Limp means what? Lifeless. So let it be likewise. I am not going to command my leg. I am not going to command my brain. I am not going to paddle with my hands. I am not going to thrash with my legs anymore. I am not going to make a fierce touch on the tile to come up or bob up like a cork and swim to the edge of the pool. I am not going to do it. So when he gave up saving himself, he felt so relaxed because he gave himself in the hands of death. He faced death. Face to face he had seen death. So he surrendered himself for that. So when he surrendered himself to death, he found relaxed. Then it says that the blackness swept over my brain. It wiped out fear. Now I am not worried because he gave up himself for death. It wiped out terror. There was no more panic. I am not afraid of anything. And it was quiet and peaceful. I am so happy. When I put myself, yes, let me die. When he understood that he is about to die, all fear gone, and it was nice to be drowsy. Drowsy means what? Feeling unconscious, and I'm going to sleep. To go to sleep. No need to jam. Too tired to jam. It's nice to be gently carried, to float along in space. Tender arms round me. Now he says that this situation, when I just started relaxing, when I just gave away all of my hope for saving myself, I am now floating in water. Okay? And now also in between, he is just thinking about the float of this water and his moving around in the space or moving around in the water. He is comparing this just gentle situation with the gentle hands of his tender arms of his mother. So here also he was just, the final thought that comes into his mind is about his mother. He says that yes, I feel like I have been carried in the arms of my mother. Now let me go to sleep. I must go to sleep. What is that sleep here means? I am not afraid of drowning anymore because I made myself to death. Okay. So when he put himself to death, he felt sleepy and he was not ready to try to jump. He was tired of jumping. He felt nice to be carried in his mother's arms as he felt sleepy. So he totally became unconscious as he drifted away towards death. So it says that tender arms like mothers, now I must go to sleep. He may be imagining himself in the tender arms of his mother and he just put himself to what? To death. And the last line of this next paragraph is I crossed to oblivion and the curtain of life fell. So finally he says that yes, I am now in the state of being unaware or unconscious of what is happening around me. That's what it says, that oblivion means what? Unconscious or unaware of what is happening around me. And finally he says that the curtain of life fell and says that now I admit that this is the end of my life. So he became unconscious as he drifted towards death. He just surrendered himself towards death and he feels so happy and he feels so peaceful because there is no worry, there is no tension, there is no strategy, no need to jump. He feels like he was sleeping in the tender arms of his mothers. So this is what today I would like to share with you about the lesson The Deep Water by William Douglas. Okay, we can continue the rest of the lesson, rest of the portions in the next class. Okay, so altogether what we see here is he made a third wave. First, second and third time he was thrown back. He went back to the pool and on the third way to the pool he just gave up all hope and he surrendered himself to death. Okay, when he surrendered himself to death, he started experiencing a peace of mind and quiet happiness, isn't it? And he says that there is peace in death. Only when we are just fighting for life we have problems. When we just give ourselves towards in the hands of death, there is peace. This is one real life experience that this child had when he was thrown into the YMCA pool. Okay, thank you all. Have a great day. Go through your text and be prepared for the next class with your textbook. Have a great day. Thank you.